The purpose of today's program is to honor our first responders. On behalf of the East Parker County Chamber, the business community, and the residents, we appreciate the sacrifice and commitment you make each day to serve and protect us all. Thank you, and may God bless each and every one of you.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
I started with Willow Park in August of '04 as a reserve officer, and then March of '05 I went full-time. So I've been here going on 15 years. Always wanted to be a cop. My dad was a security officer when I was little. I'd always see him in his uniform, so to me at 2 or 3 that was a police officer. Then he started looking into get into with APD, Arlington PD, and DPS, but I was so young at the time, he didn't want to leave home and leave me. So he gave it all up and went on to his career, but I've always wanted to be a cop. We heard a grass fire kick out in the neighborhood near the water tower. And at first, some of us didn't go. We were trying to get more information. Then we heard it was burning so fast. We were told later on it was about 8 acres a minute. So by the time myself, Captain Ray, when he was here, Chief West, when we all got up there, we realized it wasn't just a regular grass fire. It was all over. It was moving pretty fast. And with the wind, I've never seen grass move or fires move that fast. So we were grabbing water hoses out of people's backyards and just doing everything we could to help our fire department because they're limited on their resources. So we're trying to help them, give them more manpower, do whatever they need. And we had Hudson Oaks, Parker County, DPS, everybody started showing up to help. When the fire started approaching McCall, myself, Captain Ray, and a couple of the fire guys were stationed, if you want to call it that, at McCall, watching. We were waiting for fire to let us know because the fire was jumping across streets, because at that point it had already moved to I-30 and it was jumping across Farmer Road or 3325 and then getting into Morning Star and Walsh Ranch. And by then it had already gotten to I-30. It was moving fast enough that Chief West went ahead and had the evacuation done. In one of the homes, they weren't sure which, there were 3 to choose from, that there was an elderly resident that lived in one of them, and then they knew that there were animals in at least one of the homes. We couldn't get anyone to answer the door. Some of the houses, the fire was too close to the back, so it was unsafe for us to go to the back. My thought process was, if we go to the back, we're putting our fire department at risk. So it's safer to kick in the front door. So I had one of the patrol officers, Officer Malwitz, he helped. I had him kick in one of the doors. And in one of the houses, there was a small dog, and he took off running. Got through everybody's legs. He was pretty quick. And then he took off westbound on fox hunt, and then disappeared somewhere on Ranch House. And then when the neighbor came home, I let the neighbor know. And then by then, someone else had found their dog and returned him. That was October of 2017. It was an accident. She was 8 years old at the time, and a family member didn't see her and accidentally ran her over, and she did pass away from that. We have children ourselves. Even if we don't, we have nieces and cousins and little brothers and sisters. I knew that little girl since she was 2 years old. I knew the family pretty well. So that was a little bit harder for ones like me that knew her. One of the other officers on scene, he knew her pretty well also from his time here. So you learn to process it. You can't take it home with you. It doesn't mean you don't care about somebody. You just have to learn to process it. You don't internalize it, because that's where you start getting into PTSD issues. The suicide rate of officers is very high, especially right now. On traffic stops, we don't know who you are. We don't know what your intention is, whether you're 14 or 93. So we do take a different approach. Some of us may seem standoffish, we're not. There are plenty of videos that we have shown our CPA, our first CPA that just graduated a couple months back. We showed them how an officer walks up to a car, approaches it, and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And a guy just fires right in his face. That's scary for us. I have my own little things, my quirks that my husband's used to. He knows I may walk a certain way, I may look, I may talk, I may do certain things just because of situational awareness. It's a different feeling walking in when we search buildings or search houses, especially when we've never been there before. We don't know who's in there, what they're doing, what's going on, if we're being set up. All those things play through our mind. And it's not that we constantly think someone is going to hurt us. The reality is it happens, and it seems to be happening more and more the last couple of years, where we are being ambushed, we are being set up. With me being the only detective at this time, it may take me a little bit longer. I don't have all the cool equipment, but I do have resources like DPS, Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office. I love my job. I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it.
I got in the fire service a long time ago, back in high school, because I loved what the firefighters did. They helped people. That was the job. And so that's what I started doing as a volunteer. That was the coolest thing ever, getting to ride in the big red fire truck. I'll never forget my volunteer fire chief, Jerry Pavelka, let me ride in the parade when I was a kid, and I'm like, this is cool. And so he's been my hero as I grew up. I finally got to get on the fire department there as a volunteer and start helping people. And then I finally made a career out of it and have been enjoying it ever since. It's about helping people. I think our biggest one was our large grass fire that we had here in the city. 2,156 acres worth of grass fire. We had fire all over the place, very high winds. We alone had our A-shift crew get trapped within the fire, in the grass fire. And so we had to go and have them pulled out before the fire got too close to them. And so that was one of our close calls that sticks with me.
Station 35, small reported structure fire. Fire alarm clear, 1014.
That sound means that multiple things. It's either a mayday call, there's a down fireman, down firefighter, they're in distress, they're lost, they need help. So we send firefighters after them. I think the biggest thing that America has forgotten, that the fire service and first responders don't forget, is 9/11. What sticks in my mind is 343 brothers having their pass device go off. That's a detrimental sound in the fire service. We love protecting our community.
Hey, how many, who's?
Yeah, you go around back.
How many are inside?
I don't know.
Okay, I need you to back up. Right here, man.
Also, first ever advised if you are responding code.
The boys, the big one, we'll look at it. Boys, but no response. I'm gonna lay him down, okay? You guys run in? I'm going back for the other one. 2 more people.
Parker County is actually 910 square miles. Municipal police departments, Weatherford, Hudson Oaks, Willow Park, Springtown, and Reno, and a small slice of Azle that have a municipal police department. And that whole thing amounts to about 65,000 people that have a municipal police department. So that puts 90 to 95,000 people for the sheriff to deal with in the county. The total department is 132 people. Now, 92 of those are sworn officers. And I have several divisions here: patrol, CID, special crimes, the jail division, civil division, extradition, courthouse security. We do all the courthouse, the county courthouses. And I have 5 school resource officers. .5% is what I'm told, and that's about $4,500 per year that we have to make way for. We want to preserve country living, if you know what I mean. And the development and everything, as long as we need it, as long as it's done correct. But it's hard for us because we're spread so thin. And of course, I'll be taking that up with the Commissioner's Court, because we're going to have to add people, because as this population grows, obviously we're going to need more people. We've got the priority 1 calls down now where we can answer them in about 11 or 12 minutes, which is, and depending on where the units are. But on any given day, I've probably got 6, and if I'm real lucky, 7 units running. Well, that's not a lot for 900 square miles. We're state of the art. There's a lot of money. The county's spending a lot of money on communications in here, the systems and so on. I've got GPS tracking on all my cars, When we get a call, the dispatchers look and see where the nearest unit is, and they get the call. When somebody calls 911, if it's a fire call, we put it through to the fire people, and if it's a life care call, we put it through to life care. Someone needs an ambulance and so on. The 911 center is where we are now, and of course, last year the 911 rang over 40,000 times, so it can become quite a busy place. I have 17 dispatchers here on staff, and on any given day there's 3 to 4 on duty at a time. We get that busy up here. It really gets busy on the 4th of July because a lot of people don't respect other people's property, and they'll get on with fireworks that they shouldn't be doing, and they'll start fires, and so it gets very, very hectic and busy on the 4th of July up here. This is Captain Bill Bay. He's the supervisor in here. What kind of training for the dispatchers?
Communication. The internal program could last anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, depending on the person and their prior experience, their level with computers, and their level with technology. And some people grasp it faster than others. The state requires, on the 40 hours, is that correct? The state requires actually 48 hours now. Once they've been here for a year and they've got a good grasp of it and they're going to make part of our team, at that point we'll send them off to a school that lasts 48 hours and they'll pass their state testing and certified.
Today the total count is 442. 59 of them are federal prisoners, which the county rents the bed space out to the feds, and we make some revenue off of that. Law enforcement is a tough job, and it's nice to know that we're appreciated. And believe me, Parker County does appreciate its law enforcement, and I'm very happy about that.